Maven interviews are all about capturing people's diverse passions and special skill sets. Bob Garlick and Andrew McGivern chat with local and international specialists to find out what they do and why they do it.
Hey everybody, Bob here again. I've got my buddy Andrew on the other side of Skype, and we've got an interesting guest for us today. Andrew, who do we got?
We've got Tod Maffin here, and he is a Maven in the true sense of the word. He's the president and CEO of EngageQ, a digital marketing and training consulting firm, national technology columnist for CBC. He's the author of 3 books and speaks to more than 40 conferences around the world each year, and founder and CEO of MindfulEye, a multi-million-dollar artificial intelligence firm.
Wow.
His name's Tod Maffin, and he's here on Maven Interviews.
Hey, Tod. I didn't know you were such a special dude.
I love it when people read the intro my mom wrote for them.
And he makes great cookies.
I have to say, though, just in the interest of transparency, the MindfulEye that you heard about there, that you read, was a company. It was a .com company. It sadly does not exist anymore. It was caught up in the .com boom. But for one brief shining moment, myself and 4 of our partners were worth about $10 million on paper. We never actually got the money for real. But
yeah.
It's cool because you still got the experience of building something like that, right?
Oh my God, yeah. I mean, I invested all the $40 into it for a color business plan printing at Kinko's, and I learned far more than you get at an MBA program.
Oh, absolutely. Tod, what have you been doing recently? I hear you've got a boot camp or something coming up.
Yeah, summer's sort of a slow time for people who do on the speaking circuit because there's not a lot of conferences. So I've always got a couple of projects to keep me off the street and keep my cats fed. Working on a book with co-author Mark Blevis at Full Duplex in Ottawa. So he and I are chugging away, sharing Evernote shared folders to write our chapters, and then we're getting together to write some more in Winnipeg. So that's cool. And then every year I do this thing called summer school, but without the lousy exams that you remember from high school, summer school. And this year it's all about Facebook advertising. It's going to be a Facebook advertising intensive. So it's not one of these, there's a lot of people who sort of sell these you pay $300 or $400 and you get 4 videos. This is a lot more reasonable in price, and it's live lessons with me. So Tuesdays and Thursdays at 10 in the morning through August, we take it step by step through everything you need to know to build an ROI campaign in Facebook, extend your ad budget, reach more people for almost no cost at all. And we were talking just off mic that I would be happy to extend if you guys want a special discount just for your listeners.
Yeah, let's do that. It sounds great.
Okay, so the address to go to it for just information, if you want to see what the curriculum is like and everything, it's facebooksummerschool.com. And when you go to register for it, make sure you look for the little thing that says use a promotional code and put the word Maven in there, and you will get 20% off. And don't share that around. That's only for people of this podcast. So facebooksummerschool.com and use Maven as the coupon code.
That's awesome. And for all the people that listen to the show, in a year, because that's some of the nature of podcasts, you discover the show. It's like, wow, good, let's go back and listen to the first show. Just look up Tod, and he might give you another discount special just for you for something else that he's doing in the future.
Of course.
Yeah, because you do a different theme every year with these summer camps, right?
Yeah, I do summer school every year, and it's always different topics, and I have no idea what it's going to be next year. It's always, I never really know until 3 or 4 months leading up to it because it changes so much.
Yeah.
Well, that's the industry, right?
Yeah. Keeps us employed.
So today we're going to be talking about viral videos. I was fortunate enough to be at Kylie's Pub one day, and you were doing an amazing presentation about basically the science or the strategy behind creating viral videos. So I think that would be a good subject for today. So, for people that are looking at viral videos, I would assume that's just through YouTube, or are there other options?
No, it's not just YouTube, and it's not just videos. This can work for any kind of campaign. Obviously, things that share more easily are videos because it's easy for people to watch. But we've seen the same kind of interaction move with images on Facebook, which are highly viral as well, and other campaigns in television and so on. So it just tends, you hear more of the viral. People say viral campaign, you think of viral videos, but it works for a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, it can end up getting distributed through Facebook. Actually, there was one I saw today, this wonderful one. It was a little over the top, but it was for dogs, and they had one of these weird inventions that the ball travels along and a bunch of different stuff ends up smashing into other stuff, but they had dogs as part of the element as well. And it was obviously for a dog food company. It's borderline advertising, borderline viral. I think they went a little over the top with the logo of the company, the name of the company, but still entertaining enough. And I thought it did, I did quite a positive review for it for other people that might be interested in watching it.
Cool.
So what makes viral?
6 things, as it turns out. I sort of undertook a scientific study of this about 18 months ago. I'm a former hacker from my teenage years, and so we used to gather together in these little groups called wares groups, where we would reverse engineer, I'll just say copyrighted games, and figure out a way to copy them for our friends. Hopefully the statute of limitations has run out on that stuff by now. But the way we did it was through reverse engineering. Was we sort of deconstructed the software from its assembled form, and we reverse engineered it to figure out what the components that were common to the software were, and then that way we could rip out the copy protection. So when viral campaigns, viral videos started getting a lot of attention, I decided to kind of use those skills as a former hacker and reverse engineer mostly viral video campaigns, to see to sort of prove my scientific theory that there are common characteristics to all of them. And if I could prove that, if I could identify what those common characteristics that were all viral videos or things that go viral are, then you could reassemble those components and make something have a much more stronger success of going viral. It doesn't mean you'll be struck by lightning. It doesn't mean that it's going to necessarily happen, but your chances will go up. And as it turns out, I did. I discovered 6 elements. They're like genetic markers in a DNA patch, 6 markers that were common to all of the 50 viral campaigns that I reverse engineered.
Andrew, what do you think? You got a tough question for Tod?
Yeah, because what I've heard is that all these people are saying, well, the best thing to do is just to make as many videos as possible because you never going to be viral. It's just this weird magic thing that happens. So let's hear what those 6 things are.
All right, sure. And I'll just kind of plow through it one by one, and we can stop and whatever, or if you're bored, we can just keep on going.
Well, I think just touch on all 6. These are the 6, and then let's go in more detail for 1 through 6.
All right, sounds good. So number 1 is what I call ACC matching. It stands for Audience, Content, and Call to Action. ACC, Audience, Content, Call to Action. All 3 of those have to match for it to be a significant viral candidate. And what that means is the audience of the piece that you're working on, the intended audience, has to match the creative or the content of the piece, the look and feel of the video, and it also has to match the call to action. What are you trying to get people to do? So we'll come back to that if you like. That's the first. That's the ACC matching. The second one is it has to be a single, simple concept. Viral videos that are successful, they don't have 3-act structures. They don't try to develop characters. They don't even really try to tell a story in most cases, though not all. They have to be very simple, taking place in one location, one very simple plot line for it to be successful. The third element is sentiment. And sentiment means the tone or the kind of material that has to be. And of the 50 that I reverse engineered, and this holds true, by the way, all of these things for most of the viral videos I've looked at since I did this sort of meta-analysis still holds true. So the third one is sentiment. And there's really 3 sentiment tones or factors that have been successful. And they are the 3 S's: silly, serious, or stunning. So silly is obvious, that's the Double Rainbow or the Dollar Shave Club. Serious work really well as well. Advocacy videos like the Dove campaigns that go viral, or stunning, things that are just amazing visually to look at. The Mentos and Diet Coke fountains would be an example of that. So sentiment factor, which is silly, serious, or stunning. The fourth is you have to reward sharing. There's this big mythology out there that, you get a big budget, you shoot a big thing, you get this viral video, you upload it to YouTube, and then all of a sudden it goes viral. And that's not what happens. In fact, when I looked at a lot of these viral videos, I discovered that to make them go viral, not only were they seeded in multiple locations, but the people were also rewarded for sharing. They actually had an incentive for sharing it. In some cases, cash. We'll come back to that if you like, though. The fifth is embrace the unofficial. In many cases, when something goes viral or becomes successful, you discover that lawyers come out of the woodwork. People will try to do things with your brand. You should embrace them, unless they're being defamatory or putting Hitler's mustache on your logo or something. When something does something amazing with your viral video or with your brand, embrace them. There's this great example of this poor kid in Tempe, Arizona. He was a college student, and like we all were in college, had no money for anything. So he built furniture out of FedEx boxes. He lived beside a dumpster, and he got all these FedEx boxes. He built furniture. And if you Google college student Arizona FedEx furniture, I'm sure you'll find photos of it. And he's lying on this couch that he built, and it looks horribly uncomfortable, but it looks really sturdy. It's just literally duct tape and FedEx boxes. Well, guess what FedEx did? They sent him a cease and desist. And they said you're not using our brand well, and just idiot. That was a perfect example. I mean, when you look at the picture of this tall, lanky guy lying across these boxes, he's made a couch out of it. The first thing you think of is, my God, these boxes are strong. That's positive for the brand. So the fifth is embrace the unofficial. When something does something amazing with your viral campaign or amazing with your brand, embrace them. In fact, maybe bring them on board the team. And the final is deliver successive rounds. The most successful viral campaigns are not ones where they just are one-hit wonders and they go away. The really successful ones are ones where they keep on giving. There's more to it. You remember the old Spice Guy commercials that went viral? And that was a television campaign first. That actually didn't go viral until successive rounds began being delivered by the strategy team. One of them was they would write custom tweets for people of high clout, of high influence, and they had this guy in the studio, and he would tweet little 10-second messages back. You may remember he tweeted, or he sent a message out, a video message to Kevin Rose, a very famous internet entrepreneur, and of course that guy retweeted it. So it's these successive rounds that are really successful. So those 6 are, again, just really briefly, ACC matching, that's audience, content, and call to action. All 3 have to match. Has to be a single, simple concept. The sentiment factor is important. Silly, serious, or stunning. You need to incentivize sharing or reward sharing. The 5th is embrace the unofficials when they show up. And finally, deliver successive rounds. And if you missed all that, if you just go to my site, Tod Maffin, actually, I think I still own the domain deconstructingviral.com has more information on it.
Well, that's interesting because the thing that I was listening to somebody the other day, and they're saying, look, if you create anything for the internet, a blog post, a campaign, anything, that is another product, and you have to market your marketing. And I think a lot of people don't realize when creating viral campaigns or trying to stimulate a campaign to make it go viral, it takes a lot of energy and planning and strategy in the back end before you actually roll out the actual product itself. Yeah. Do you think you can get away with just bashing off a bunch of videos and keeping your fingers crossed that it's gonna happen, or is it better to look at it on a much more professional level and say, look, okay, this is our goal. How can we get to that goal? Will viral work for us?
The answer to that question, Bob, is do you have unlimited money? If the answer is yes, then yeah, knock off a couple, shoot them up there and see what happens. Most people who are in the business world do not have unlimited money. We have to, report ROI metrics to our bosses. We at least have to measure it if it's our own. So no, planning is definitely a better approach. Look, there are always going to be one-hit wonders out there, right? I mean, the Double Rainbow, which was not a corporate campaign, but was just this one-hit wonder. This guy in the woods saw this double rainbow and it moved him to tears, literally. If you haven't seen the video, it's worth seeing. But there's an example of something, again, where it didn't pick up by itself. That sat on YouTube for a year before Jimmy Kimmel found it and tweeted it. And it wasn't until Jimmy Kimmel tweeted that link that the video went viral. So yeah, if you've got tons of money, sure, play around and knock it off, but otherwise plan it, figure out how are we going to incentivize sharers? What are we going to do when we get attacked and all those things?
I also like that because if you do get a viral video and it's not targeting an audience that's going to benefit your business, it's a big waste of time as well.
It's a huge waste of time. Yeah.
Because millions and millions of people watch your video and they're not even potential customers.
Yeah, this is why the video, if you Google Dollar Shave Club video, is such a great video, is that it was funny, it was well produced, it was really funny. But it sold razors, it did really well. Unlike other ones, one of the example that I use in the keynote I give on this is this, this picture, if you will, a group of about 15 or 20 white guys dressed up as bumblebees. And and they're dancing around and rapping. And I stopped the video after about 30 seconds or so, and I asked the people in the audience, what is this a video for? And then, they guess Honey Nut Cheerios, and they guess honey, and they guess beehives, and it's none of those. It's a video. It's a commercial for Haagen-Dazs.
Wow.
And the reason that they did is they were trying to raise money because the global population of honeybees is actually in decline. They're actually almost an endangered species. So Haagen-Dazs decides, listen, if we don't have honeybees in the world, they're not going to pollinate fruit trees. Poorer quality fruit trees equals poorer quality fruit ice cream, and so on. But there's an example of that first one I mentioned, ACC matching, where those three did not align for Haagen-Dazs, and therefore that campaign did not go viral. You think about all three of those, ACC. The first is the audience. So who is the audience of Haagen-Dazs, right? It's adults. They're generally affluent, middle class, upper class. They're not generally price sensitive. They prefer natural products. So that's the A, that's the audience. The C is the campaign's target, the creative or the content. Who is the target of that? Well, the music is these guys dancing around rapping to this really bad electronica music. So who responds best to that? Not adults, but teens, young adults who are budget conscious, who are not concerned with natural foods and their natural products in their foods. They're not the audience for Haagen-Dazs. And then the third didn't match either, which is the call to action. What did we want this ad to do? It wasn't go buy ice cream. It wasn't, hey kid, start a rap career. It was give money to this environmental cause. So who's the audience for that? People who donate to environmental campaigns, people who are aware of global climate change issues. All three of those are different audiences. Therefore, it didn't match. There was no ACC matching. That campaign was a bomb.
It goes to the second point too. Simple. Have a single idea, a single communication piece, and make it simple. Trying to get the point across simply. A lot of problems happen when you get into that type of sophistication because the simpler and the more focused the actual message, the harder it is to pull off. And what most people don't understand is they think it's easier if it's simple. It's actually much harder to be simple.
It's much harder, yeah. That's why that's the second one, the single, simple concept. And, a great example of this, if you Google inspired by Iceland viral video, and it is a video, it's one of the best tourism destination marketing viral videos I've ever seen. It promotes Iceland. All it is various shots of people all over Iceland, some in streams, some in forests, some on boats, some outside pubs, dancing poorly. They're not even good dancers. It was clear that someone pointed a camera at them and just kind of go crazy. And it lasts about 2 minutes long, and it's really good. It's very simple, right? It's a single concept. There's people dancing. That's all is happening in the video. But you see mossy beaches, hot springs, natural geysers, fly fishing, Vikings, passenger ferries, beaches, rural villages, farming, choirs, parkours, diving. I'm reading some of this now. Cave exploring, whitewater rafting, nightlife, lighthouses. I mean, you see all of this in about a 2-minute video. It's brilliant because it showcases everything of Iceland, but there's only one thing happening in this video is that the people are just dancing.
Andrew?
No, I like that. So if you put all these things together, it increases the odds of going viral. How you said that you could do this with other forms of media or other mediums to get your message across. What is an example of companies being successful with, say, audio or say a blog post or something like that?
The research that I did into it, these 50 were strictly were viral videos. So I didn't do a ton of research into other stuff. However, that said, I've got a website called Case Studies Online. It's 100% free. It's just one big, huge database of social media and digital marketing case studies. And so if you go to casestudiesonline.com and just pull down the tactics menu and select viral marketing, you'll get all sorts of stuff. It's basically my repository for the research that I kind of do periodically. So you'll get all sorts of examples of non-web stuff there.
Awesome. We'll put that in the show notes.
And, I have to say as well, just a caveat, just because you implement these 6 doesn't mean it's going to happen for you. All this does is increase the chances. Now, it will increase your chances. But it's not I always tell people, that people will say it's like being struck by lightning or that it's very random. Well, being struck by lightning is not random at all when you think about it. If you want to be struck by lightning.
Yeah, you can work on it.
there are things you can do to increase your chances of being struck by lightning. The guy who holds the world record for being struck by lightning more times than anyone else in the world is this fellow named, am I going to forget his name now? Roy Sullivan is his name. He's a park ranger in Virginia, or was. He's retired now. He's been struck by lightning 7 times and survived. But, the reason people always say, why was he so randomly unlucky? It wasn't random at all. Think about a park ranger. He's outside all the time. So his chances have just gone up, compared to us who work indoors. He's a park ranger, so he's around forested areas and big clearings. He worked in Virginia, which is a corridor, one of the corridor states where there's a lot of thunder and lightning activity. So there are things you can do to increase your chances of being struck by lightning. This operates on the exact same principle. You're not going to necessarily hit it out of the park, but you are guaranteed to dramatically increase your chance.
And I think on top of that, I would say, try and doing a viral video. Send it out there, see what type of results you get, and then step back from your ego and analyze and say, have we hit these key points? Could we done a better job? Maybe our timing was just off. Tweak it a little bit and try again.
Yeah, and conversion track as well. Make sure that there are links in your YouTube video, if that's where it is, where there's a product page where people can buy. Even if you're just running a small viral campaign or a campaign that you want to go viral on Facebook, Facebook ads now have conversion tracking built in. So you can say, here's my website. Let's say that you sell, let's say you're the Dollar Shave Company. You sell razors. On the thank you for buying page, you put a little bit of code, and Facebook and all these sites, Google as well, will give you this little bit of code. And it basically says to these advertising engines like Facebook and Google and AdRoll, basically says, okay, someone's bought something based on the ad they saw. So you can track, and then you can find out what your per conversion or per sale cost of acquisition is, which is really important.
Sentiment. Out of those 3, which is the biggest, or are they basically even?
They're not even. Silly is the most likely to go viral from a numbers point of view, and we see that with. There's 50 silly ones I can name off the top of my head: Chocolate Rain, Double Rainbow, Dollar Shave Club. They're all silly and fun. So if you're looking at numbers, pure reach, that is, you'll get a stronger reach on something that's silly. However, if you are trying to target specific communities and you're looking for emotional impact, then serious works a lot better. A really good campaign I mentioned earlier is the Dove campaign. I don't know if everyone, wherever you're listening in the world, has seen these ads, but Dove is a manufacturer of soap and all sorts of stuff and beauty products, and they undertook a great campaign. And this one particular one that I studied as part of this research is this woman who sits in front of a makeup mirror. She's obviously just come in. She doesn't have her hair up or makeup on or anything. And then proceeds, there's a time lapse, which looks like it's recorded over the course of about an hour and a half, but it only takes about a minute. And it shows them, putting makeup on her and doing this. And then you see the same thing happening where they've adjusted her face in Photoshop and they lift her eyebrows and they do this. And she comes out looking really quite different than she walked in. And the tagline at the end is it says, "No wonder our perception of beauty is distorted." Amazing campaign. Here's something that most people don't realize. That only ran on TV twice. Wow. In the history of the ad, it only ran on TV twice. But everyone will say, well, that was this great TV ad. Actually, no. But it was a serious ad, so it didn't necessarily have the same reach that a silly or a stunning ad would, or a viral video. But it has that emotional impact. People identify with it, right? It's advocacy-based marketing. So someone who says, yeah, I'm that woman, I'm curvy and I'm proud of it, would share this, and therefore you get a much stronger uptake within those smaller but more importantly targeted communities. Also, small bit of trivia. That campaign took the top honors at the Cannes Festival for the Lions, which are their ads. It won top honors in both the cyber and film categories. The first time in the festival's history that the same execution won in 2 categories.
Wow.
Cool. At what point is a video viral? Like, what is there a number that it has to hit in order to be considered a viral video?
No, I don't think so. Viral video, making something go viral shouldn't be your goal. Your goal should be selling 100 widgets, or it should be, filling our board of director seats, or whatever your actual objective is. So I would say your viral video is a success when you achieve the objectives you set up. Now, it's a very boring MBA answer for you. Obviously, I would love to say, hey, when you hit 100,000 or you hit 1 million, it's great. But we know that those thresholds are really different in different countries. If you want a best-selling book in Canada, only has to sell like something like 2,000 copies or something, really small number, pathetically small. In fact, it may even be smaller than that to become a bestseller. But that's because our audience size is different, and that's not necessarily the goal that they're going for. So, how do you know your viral video is a success? When there's lots of positive buzz about it in the communities or markets that matter to you, and you're seeing some uplift on the objectives you've set for that viral video. Boring answer, but it's the real one.
And what about if, say you produce 100 videos over time, and would it be better to have 100 videos that have, say, 10,000 to 20,000 views over a number of years, or 99 videos that have 15 to 20 views, and one video that is a hit out of the park at, say, 1 million or 2 million views?
I think it depends again on really. I hate to keep coming back to it. Depends on your objectives. It depends on those and the audience segments that you're working with. A brand like Pepsi, where they are one international global brand, they do a lot of. They don't really care about conversions. In fact, they can't track conversions, right? So it's not like you see an ad or in your Facebook news feed, Pepsi posts something and you click a link and they deliver you a can of Pepsi because you've bought it online with your Visa card. I'm sure they'd love to be able to do that. They could track their conversions down to the tenth of a cent. You can't do that with global brands like that. So if you're a big, huge monster global brand, you probably only need one or two because you only have one big, huge audience. And you've got sub-audience as well, but they generally respond to one overall brand message. If you're a smaller organization and you've got different audience groups, then I would prepare different messages. My company, EngageQ Digital, we work with a number of clients. One of them is OK Tire, the national chain of tire stores. We manage their internet marketing for them. We are secretly the people that do the posting on their page. And if you mention OK Tire, it's myself or a team member will tweet back to you. And they've got different audience groups. They've got one audience segment where they're trying to reach people who are in the market for new tires. They've got people who are in the market for starting a company and they're interested in a franchise. There's another market of people who are farm owners and they're looking for equipment maintenance because that's another branch that they do. So in that case, this is an extreme example, I would recommend segmenting out those videos because they're going to be you would never say the same thing to someone looking for to get their Mazda's tire rotated than you would for someone who's looking to invest, a couple $1,000 into starting an OK Tire branch.
Guys, we're running short on time, so I just want to quickly go over the last 3 points, which is the reward for sharing, the embrace the unofficial, and what have I got here in my scribbles? Serious. What's the fourth? What's the sixth one, Todd?
Deliver successive rounds.
Thank you. Successive rounds. Do those three tie together, or are they all kind of separate?
They're kind of separate, but I can go through them quick if you like.
Sure.
Yeah. So reward sharing, don't foster under the illusion, the magical illusion that people will share your video just because you put it up there. There are some out of the park hits that do that, like Dollar Shave Club I keep coming back to because I love it. But in most cases, in fact, the vast majority of the 50 that I analyzed for this research, they incentivize sharing. So let me give you an example of two really brief examples. One is Doritos. Doritos came up in Canada with this campaign a couple of years ago where they printed this Doritos potato chip bag, and all it had was a big question mark on it. It didn't have the flavor listed at all, just a big question mark. And it was a contest, and the contest was, you tell us what the flavor is and should be called, and we will give you 1% of global sales of this product forever. And they don't do that anymore because it was too rich an offer. And then you had to produce a 30-second video. That first campaign they did not really pick up steam because they expected that people would see these videos that people were producing for them and they would share them on their own. And it really didn't happen that way. So the following year they changed it, and this way, instead of just getting points for people, just voting for your video, which is how it worked before, is it was on a point system. So if you got a unique view on YouTube, that was worth 5 points. If you got to be the highest, biggest, mostest in any major site category like YouTube or Dig, you got 1,000 points. If you showed up in the top 5 for Doritos viralocity in a Google search, you got 1,000 points. So they incentivized sharing, right? They rewarded that sharing. And that helped it spread. It doesn't have to be that complicated. Really quickly, a great example I saw was just rewarding people randomly. Wheat Thins did this a couple of years ago, where they had they just looked for people who were tweeting about Wheat Thins, and they ran into this. They literally ambushed them. They knocked on the door of this young nurse who was obviously in her scrubs, ready to go to work. And they said, "Are you Tabitha?" And she says, "Yes." They said, "Yeah, well, we got your tweet about you being out of Doritos, or out of Wheat Thins. We don't want that to happen, so we brought some for you." And up pulls this gigantic forklift with 1,000 boxes of Wheat Thins in there. That video went viral because what that was it incentivized sharing, right? It asked people to tweet about the brand because it said, hey, maybe if you tweet about us, we'll do something like this for you as well.
Embrace the unofficial.
Yeah, so people are going to do things with your brand. They're going to mix up your viral video. They're going to do things you may not want. Unless it is clearly a legal issue, like it's defamatory or it's claiming that there's glass in your Dr. Pepper or whatever, embrace them, bring them on your team. That said, the worst thing you can do is to just hire the same talent and have them do exactly the same thing for you. The Double Rainbow guy, who wept when he saw this double rainbow, was actually hired by Microsoft to produce a video for them about one of their camera applications or camera picture taking software. And all he did was he did the exact same thing. He just said, "Oh, it's a beautiful rainbow." It was horrible. And it didn't go viral. Microsoft thought it would be everywhere because, hey, we got the double rainbow guy. But the reason it didn't work was they did the right thing. They embraced they embraced this amateur guy, but they didn't up the ante. They didn't bring anything new to the table. So two things really is if you're going to hire talent of someone who's done a viral video on their own, bring something more, have them do something more than just recreate the existing ad. The Numa Numa guy who danced to this crazy kind of song and it went viral. The Geico people hired him and he did essentially the same thing to a different song. And the only difference was the little gecko was dancing in the background too. It was so stupid and it didn't go viral. They thought they had a huge hit on their hands. But if you do something and people do crazy things with it, like that guy with the FedEx boxes, embrace them, bring him on your team, send him 100 more boxes, give him a flip cam. I guess they don't exist anymore, but give him a camera to take pictures of them, make him a VIP, give him a tour for the day of your factory. I mean, these are people with influence. Embrace these people. Don't send a lawyer after them. Worst thing you could do. Well,
and that's also the next point, which is successive rounds. That kind of feeds into that too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's those successive rounds that really pick up steam. Do you remember? Now, your American listeners aren't going to know this brand, but here in Canada, we have a brand of cereal called Shreddies. And to Americans, they kind of look like Chex, which is a brand that we don't have. But anyway, Shreddies did this great campaign a number of years ago where they just twisted. They showed their little squares, and in all the marketing is they twisted it on a 45-degree angle, and they called them Diamond Shreddies. They were
I remember that.
Remember those? They were exactly the same Shreddies. There was no difference. The product, they just twisted it on the box. And you could go into the market, you could go into Safeway or a supermarket and buy a box of Diamond Shreddies. And it was a huge hit. But that campaign didn't go viral until they began delivering successive rounds. And one of the ones they did was they came out with this ad of a guy who purportedly is the marketing director of Shreddies, reading out all these complaint letters they got. Real letters, by the way. What are you talking about, Diamond Shreddies? It's just on its side. How stupid could you be? I'd like to see how much money you spend on these stupid Diamond Shreddy ads. So he says, well, our flat rate was, or our growth rate of the product was small until we did this. And you see this square of a chart. And he says, and then it picked up dramatically when we introduced the market. And all they did was they twisted the chart on its side as well to make it look like it was picking up. So that was the second round, and now it starts to pick up wind because people are getting up on it. And the third round, and there were a number of them, my favorite round that they did was about a month after that for people who could not decide between the square Shreddies and the diamond Shreddies, which I have to stress again were completely identical. They came out with the combo pack. And you could go to the supermarket and buy the combo pack, and it had on the box, it said, together at last, diamonds and squares in the same box. It was brilliant. By the way, it was an intern, a young intern that came up with that idea for the ad agency. Wow. So, and they had a number of these rounds. So the more they kept pushing it, the more it went, and that was a number of successive rounds. Think of it like a boxing match, guys. Right? How many rounds are there in a boxing match? 10 rounds.
If they can last, yeah.
If they can last. How many times do they walk in there, they punch the guy, and the guy is knocked out? Rarely. right? Rarely happens. People win boxing fights because they continue to beat down their opponent. It's punch to the head, punch, and then by about the 8th or 9th round, the guy finally falls. That's how you should treat a viral campaign. Plan for and deliver scheduled successive rounds that builds on the initial campaign.
Yeah, because if you swing for the knockout, you can get knocked out yourself.
Yeah,
exactly.
In fact, there's a great video. It's not a viral video. There's a great video of a guy doing that. He misses and punches himself in the face.
It happened last week with in the UFC with Silva. He taunted his opponent and he got punched in the face and knocked out.
Oops.
Oh my God.
Oops. Hey guys, that's all the time we got for this Maven interview. But you know what? Let's ask Tod to come back, and we'll have him on another show, because obviously he has a lot of amazing information, very valuable. So Tod, do you think you could come back for another show?
I'd be happy to.
That'd be awesome. So from us here in Maven Land, thank you for listening. We always appreciate it. You can leave us a comment or note. Hey Andrew, how do people leave us a comment or note?
Well, if you want to leave voicemail feedback, you can call 1-877-636-1474. You can go to maveninterviews.com and check us out there. Leave a note in the comments, or you can email us at our contact page on maveninterviews.com.
Absolutely. Fantastic. Thanks again, Tod. Thank you, Andrew. And adios from me.
All right. Adios.
We hope you enjoyed the show, and I'm sure you will love our next guest. But until then, visit the website at maveninterviews.com for more information and links to iTunes, Twitter, and other social media platforms. If you would like to leave a message, please call 1-877-636-1474. You never know, it might be you featured on the show.